Hello and welcome to the Seth Joyner Show presented by Bankroll. With the table set for the divisional matchup, we know that the Eagles will be facing the Giants Saturday night at 8:15 p.m. at Lincoln Financial Field. In my opinion, things couldn't have shaken out better for the Eagles than they have. Although the Birds will face the G-Men for the third time this season, I'm not one who believes in the theory that it's hard to be the team 3 times in one season. The Eagles are just a better football team from top to bottom. There are some concerns facing these Giants, though. It's time for my Bankroll breakdown. Anytime you play a divisional opponent 3 times in a season, listen, there are familiarities. So even though I believe that this Eagles team is much better from a personnel perspective from top to bottom as far as the Giants are concerned, the worst thing the Birds can do is take these Giants lightly or look past them to the NFC Championship game next weekend. I've watched this Giants wildcard game from this past weekend a couple of times now, and there's a couple of things that jumps out at me about this Giants offense. One is its efficiency with which Daniel Jones is operating. Listen, last week he was 24 for 35 for 301 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and get this, he ran the ball 17 times for 78 yards with a 114 rating. The Birds will have to emphasize containment and keeping Jones in the pocket. He hurt the Vikings defense repeatedly by converting third downs with his legs, particularly in the first half. He was also very decisive passing the football. They expect for the Vikings to play a lot more zone than they did, but even when the Vikings were in man coverage, he was quick with his reads and his decisions on where to go with the ball, and he was on time. Next is the intensity with which Saquon Barkley played with. Although his numbers weren't eye-popping, he had 9 carries for 53 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns, but then he followed that up with 5 catches for 56 yards. He was huge for Daniel Jones because he gave Jones just enough in the run game to keep the Vikings defense honest. But he also provided an outlet in the passing game when no viable option was open downfield. I don't expect for Brian Daboll or offensive coordinator Mike Kafka to deviate from this game plan of quick reads and quick passes and getting the ball out of Daniel Jones' hands. Question will be, how does Jonathan Gannon counter that approach? Although the Birds can get a pass rush, they were the best in the NFL this year, can they get there versus the short passing and the quick passing game? The telltale sign for me will be how far off the ball the cornerbacks are aligned. From off coverage, it plays right into the Giants' hands. So they'll need to mix it up by alignment, even when they're playing zone. Get up, get back, get up. Darius Slayton has given the Birds some problems over the years. But the guy who emerged last week for the Giants was Isaiah Hodgins. 8 catches for 105 yards and 1 touchdown. So I'm of the opinion that the Eagles' defense has to have a more aggressive plan. Get up and challenge these wide receivers at the line of scrimmage and force Daniel Jones to make tough completions. Defensively, the story of the day for the New York Giants last week was Dexter Lawrence and Leonard Williams, their 2 starting defensive tackles. They took up residence in the Vikings' backfield and disrupted Kirk Cousins all day long. They made life easier for the defensive backfield, which ranks 15th versus the pass, and the run defense, which ranks 27th. They played well in that regard as well. The challenge for the Birds' O-line will be controlling these 2 disruptive forces in all phases of the game. From a game plan perspective, you got to wonder how the Eagles will attack this defense. Conventional wisdom would say you attack an opponent's weaknesses over and over again. But Nick Sirianni and Shane Steichen have bucked that trend in recent weeks, preferring to pass the ball against teams that have been stronger versus the pass than against the run. The $60 million question is, will they unleash Jalen Hurts this week, or are the Eagles still in protective mode as far as his health is concerned from an RPO and a read option perspective? He's a big part of the running attack, just because he's a threat to run the ball, and he's very proficient at it as well, I might say. I believe that the threat of Jalen Hurts running the ball opens up the entire offense in all phases. Without it, they become vanilla and predictable in what they do. They will need to get back to what made them such a dominant team through the first 14 games of the season. Sanders, Scott, Gainwell have to be a part of the plan early. By controlling the line of scrimmage, the offensive line will position itself for a big day. The Giants' cornerbacks cannot contain the weapons at Hurts's disposal: Brown, Smith, Goddard, and Gainwell. It'd be awesome as well to see them use Quez Watkins in the proper way. His downfield speed and stressing the safeties is a big part of what makes this offense what it is, not crossing routes for Quez. Getting Lane Johnson back will be a huge psychological boost as well. Like in any playoff game, turnovers and special teams play will be critical. The Birds have to protect the football, something they've not done well the last 4 weeks, with 9 turnovers in the last 4 weeks. The special teams need to continue to hold their own, kick, cover, and gain field position. That's my bankroll breakdown. Coming up next, my colleague D. Gunn joins me to talk Eagles and Wild Card Weekend. Bankroll at 19th and Chestnut, Center City, Philadelphia, redefines the sports bar experience for the modern invested fan.
Bridgeview Partners Strategic IT Consulting and Services, saving clients money and time by optimizing enterprise systems for over 10 years now. If you're an IT professional, what are you waiting for? Contact the very experienced team at Bridgeview Partners. These guys have an awesome reputation in the Philadelphia market for their thought leadership, specializing in infrastructure optimization and IT service management for healthcare, retail, finance organizations, and many others. Go to bridgeviewpartners.com to learn more, and go Eagles!
This car is a steal. Hey, Seth, let's do a deal and I'll throw in this great gift. Hoi!
Is that the way you used to buy a car? Forget about it. Get to Davis Honda in Burlington.
Davis Honda has over 300 pre-owned vehicles right now. Come see why Davis Honda won Best of Burlington 6 years in a row.
I'm Seth Joyner, and I drive a Davis Honda.
Seth, Caitlin, you forgot your great gift.
Birds fans, if you understand that success is built on trusted relationships and reliable performance, Mid-Penn Bank is the right bank for you. We're on a mission to prove that the right bankers can make a big difference and work harder for you. With financial centers strategically located to serve the greater Philadelphia area, we are ready to bring you the best in commercial and personal banking. Visit midpennbank.com or call the number on your screen. Mid-Penn Bank, the right bank for you. Member FDIC. Go Eagles!
Former Eagles linebacker Seth Joyner here to tell you about Artie Clear Kitchens, Baths, Drywall, and Roofing. For kitchens and bathrooms, roofing, windows, and other home improvement needs, call my friend Artie Clear. Get 100% no money down financing with payments as low as $59 per month. The first 59 calls will also receive a $400 discount on their first order. And if you're a senior citizen, double. Look for Artie's ad in the Metro. Call today, Artie Clear Kitchens, Baths, Drywall, and Roofing. For over 20 years now, strategic sports marketing has been a leader in the sports industry. With deep relationship among athletes and companies of all sizes, SSM knows what it takes to build effective partnerships. They've been helping me for 15 years now. From speaking engagements and endorsement deals to special guest appearances and much more, no budget is considered too small. And check out SSM's sister company at sportsvaultshop.com, where you'll find everything for your gift-giving needs. Keep an eye out for upcoming coupon codes exclusive to the Seth Joyner Show. Welcome back. My good friend Derek Gunn is here, first to talk Eagles versus the Giants, but also what intrigued him about the Wild Card Weekend. D, thanks for joining me, my man.
Always, Seth, anything for you, man.
All right, so I expected for the Giants to beat the Vikings. A lot of people found that surprising. But what problems do you see the Giants this week presenting for the Philadelphia Eagles?
Well, when you have, first and foremost, when you have a defensive coordinator like Wink Martindale, you never know what he's going to throw at you. During the regular season, the Giants defense blitzed 42% of their snaps, by far more than anybody else in the National Football League. But the one thing I noticed against Minnesota was he didn't blitz as much. They dropped more people back in coverage, and lo and behold, that worked out. They basically took Justin Jefferson out of this game. They basically controlled T.J. Hawkinson, and, of course, a guy like Adam Thielen was a non-factor in the game. So I think that is the biggest concern going into this game. What will Wink throw at this Eagles team?
All right, D, so we're gonna run through these real quick, and at the end, I'm going to let you give me your final thoughts on the Eagles game. But the 49ers obviously are the greatest challenge to the Eagles to get to Arizona. Thoughts on how they dominated the Seahawks?
Well, it was the third time they met, and Seth, as you know, anytime you play a divisional opponent 3 times, they know each other inside and out. So I wasn't surprised the game was as close as it was in that first half. When you consider a quarterback like Geno Smith that completed over 70% of his passes for much of the season. But it's amazing when we talk about winning the turnover battle, how impactful the turnover battle can be in a game. And then, of course, Geno gets stripped. They're up 17-16. Geno gets stripped in the third quarter. That one turnover changed the entire momentum of that game, because that's where the 49ers took over, and that's when the 49ers began to assert their dominance and pull away from this thing, from Seattle. I think the most impressive thing about San Francisco up to this point, and we can talk about the defense, but to go even a step farther, this kid Brock Purdy every week continues to impress me over and over again. He has ice water in his veins. Kudos to Kyle Shanahan and their coaching staff for how they streamlined that offense to cater to his strengths. I mean, we can't emphasize enough. This was the last player taken in the draft. He's an afterthought. Nobody expected him to even see the field this year. Nobody knew who Brock Purdy was. But out of necessity, he gets in a game against Miami, a crucial game against Miami, and hits the ground running like he had been playing all season. And the 49ers have continued to build upon that ever since. And now this young man is 6-0, and the Niners have won 10 consecutive games.
Okay, so the Cowboys took the Bucs apart a couple of nights ago. The 49ers matchup. I like the fact that they'll beat each other up. There'll be one of them will have to limp into the link next week. Your thoughts on what you saw in the Cowboys and the Bucs game?
Tom Brady was un-Tom Brady-like. I mean, missing wide open receivers, underthrowing receivers. They couldn't establish a running game. Why would they at this point of a season when they didn't have a running game all season long? And basically the Cowboys played the perfect game. They attacked Brady. They cut off passing lanes when they had to. They ran the ball with efficiency. And Dak Prescott played the most complete game he's played in quite some time.
All right, so on the AFC side, Doug Peterson is working his magic once again. The Jags upset the Chargers last week, and now they got a date with the Chiefs at Arrowhead Stadium. You think they got a snowball's chance?
Now, I don't think Jacksonville can go into Kansas City, of course, with Kansas City having that extra week of rest and beating the Kansas City Chiefs. But I do think Doug Peterson and his young guys, most of which have never even been in a playoff scenario, will fight tooth and nail, make that game interesting. But I expect Kansas City to pull away down the stretch.
All right, so the Bengals find their way to win more times than not. They're talented, but the question is, can they realistically make another run? The Ravens had them, it seemed like, until that fumble. But, hey, they got to go to Buffalo and deal with Buffalo now.
Well, go back to the 2021 season. Joe Burrow basically got his brains beat out. He was sacked 51 times in 2021. He was hit over 100 times, and they still found a way with a porous offensive line to get to the Super Bowl and came within 3 points of winning that Super Bowl. Lo and behold, it's almost been the same pattern. He was sacked 41 times this year. He's been hit in the playoffs as well. But with the weapons that surround him and the tenacity of that team, it's going to be a close game. Buffalo let Miami hang around a lot longer than I thought they would. I don't know if Buffalo is still riding that emotional roller coaster of what happened to their player. The good thing for Buffalo is they do have this game at home. Josh Allen has a tendency to throw picks at the wrong time, especially in the red zone. Cincinnati against Buffalo is a game worth watching. I think they're equal offensively. Defensively, I think Buffalo is a little bit stouter, and I think that's where it comes into play. I'm looking for Buffalo to win a closely fought contest there.
All right, so Eagles versus Giants. I'm going to step aside and give you the mic. Your thoughts and observations for the game on Sunday. Go.
I expect the Giants to come in here and fight tooth and nail with this team, but luckily the Eagles have had an extra week of rest. 85% of Lane Johnson is better than Jack Driscoll on that right side, okay? And that's going to be huge. I like the way the Eagles have now taken C.J. Gardner-Johnson and moved him down into the slot. They trust Blankenship and Epps on the back end. I think this Eagles team is just too deep, too talented across the board. You know, both teams are going to throw a wrinkle into the offense and defensive schemes that we haven't seen this year. When the dust settles, I expect it to be a competitive game, but I expect the Eagles to come out on top by at least 7 points in this game.
D, man, listen, I appreciate you. I'll see you Saturday, man, down in AC. Always appreciate your time, my friend.
Seth, looking forward to it, man.
All righty. Coming up next, Brett Feinberg chimes in with his daily fantasy and AFC, NFC divisional game picks. Special thanks to our show sponsor, Bridgeview Partners. Bridgeview Partners specialize in IT service management and helping businesses separate from their competition. Go to bridgeviewpartners.com and let them know that Seth Joyner sent you.
This car is a steal. Hey, Seth, let's do a deal and I'll throw in this great gift. Hoi!
Is that the way you used to buy a car? Forget about it. Get to Davis Honda in Burlington.
Davis Honda has over 300 pre-owned vehicles right now. Come see why Davis Honda won Best of Burlington 6 years in a row.
I'm Seth Joyner, and I drive a Davis Honda.
Seth, Caitlin, you forgot your great gift.
For over 20 years now, strategic sports marketing has been a leader in the sports industry. With deep relationship among athletes and companies of all sizes, SSM knows what it takes to build effective partnerships. They've been helping me for 15 years now. From speaking engagements and endorsement deals to special guest appearances and much more, no budget is considered too small. And check out SSM's sister company at sportsvaultshop.com, where you'll find everything for your gift-giving needs. Keep an eye out for upcoming coupon codes exclusive to the Seth Joyner Show.
Mandrakia Law. Attorneys you can trust, we get results. When you need an attorney, you need an experienced trial lawyer who will never settle for less, who's not afraid to try your case, will fight for you and keep you informed. Charles Mandrakia and the team at Mandrakia Law have decades of experience. They are ethical but aggressive. Personal injury, DUI or DWI, commercial or civil litigation, criminal defense, experience matters. Visit the website mmattorneys.com and remember the name, Mandrakia Law. Attorneys you can trust, we get results. Bridgeview Partners strategic IT consulting and services, saving clients money and time by optimizing enterprise systems for over 10 years now. If you're an IT professional, what are you waiting for? Contact a very experienced team at Bridgeview Partners. These guys have an awesome reputation in the Philadelphia market for their thought leadership, specializing in infrastructure optimization and IT service management for healthcare, retail, finance organizations, and many others. Go to bridgeviewpartners.com to learn more, and go Eagles! Birds fans, if you understand that success is built on trusted relationships and reliable performance, Mid-Penn Bank is the right bank for you. We're on a mission to prove that the right bankers can make a big difference and work harder for you. With financial centers strategically located to serve the greater Philadelphia area, we are ready to bring you the best in commercial and personal banking. Visit midpennbank.com or call the number on your screen. Mid-Penn Bank, the right bank for you. Member FDIC. Go Eagles!
Welcome back. It's AFC NFC Divisional Round playoffs, and Brad Feinberg is here for your daily Divisional Daily Fantasy Football and betting picks. Brad, how you doing, man?
Outstanding, Seth. Should be a great week of football. This is probably my favorite week of the year in terms of NFL betting. I think this is the best round of football we get all year. You get the best, last 8 teams. You get 4 games. I can't wait.
So as we roll into the Divisional Round and the games begin to shrink, Brad, what players and defense do you like for your fantasy picks this week?
Fantasy-wise, Seth, I'm going to give you guys some underrated guys I see. I'm going to start Seth, quarterback Trevor Lawrence. And I say that because while I expect Kansas City to win the game, and I really do, I think game script is going to be on our favor. Kind of like last week we saw they fell behind 27-0. I'm not suggesting they're going to fall behind 27-0 here, Seth. What I am saying is they're going to need to score a lot of points because we know Kansas City's going to score 28 plus. I think Lawrence is going to have to pass the ball a lot. He's one of the cheaper quarterbacks. I like him. Running back-wise, Seth, I'm going to stick with Miles Sanders here. Not a ton of running backs I love this week on the board. Sanders won't be crazy expensive, and I think he really should have a full plate again with potentially a banged up Jalen Hurts. I think Miles Sanders has 80+ yards. He's not going to be crazy expensive. I think he's a really good buy. Receiver, Seth, we talked about Trevor Lawrence, so now I'm going to say Zay Jones. Zay Jones this year, Seth, caught 82 catches and 8 catches for 74 yards last week. He's criminally underpriced every single week. He's coming in the $4,000 area, which is crazy for a receiver who has those kind of stats. And then defense, Seth, I'm going to say it's not that they're necessarily cheap, but I think they're the best defense on the board this week. I'm going to say Philadelphia.
All right, so give me your players and your defense that you're fading this week.
Seth, I'm going to start with some overrated guys, and I hate to say this, but I'm going to say Jalen Hurts. He's being priced up there with Mahomes and Josh Allen. And Seth, we know he derives his fantasy value from running the football. Seth, watching that game 2 weeks ago, I know it's not comparing apples to apples. I get it. But he had 0 design runs, not even one. And if he's not going to have that as part of his arsenal, I'd rather have those other elite quarterbacks. I don't need to pay up for Jalen Hurts. Running back, Ezekiel Elliott. Yeah, you'll see he had 900 yards rushing and 12 touchdowns. Good luck this week against the number 1 rated San Francisco defense. Not only that, Seth, again, we saw they went finally the coach woke up out of his time bomb show wherever he was living, and he gave the ball to Tony Pollard far more than Ezekiel Elliott. I would never take Ezekiel Elliott this week. He's being middle tier price. I wouldn't want him for anything. And then receiver-wise, Seth, I'm going to say George Kittle. Love the player. But Seth, interesting, his last 3 games, he only has 89 yards. And with Deebo Samuel back at full strength, I don't need a pony up for him. And then defense-wise, Seth, look, the Bengals. Look, going against this Josh Allen-led offense, I don't think they're going to have much success. They're not even that cheap. I would not take the Bengals.
All right, Brad, since we're in the divisional round, there's only 4 games left. All right, tee up your winners for all 4.
All right, Seth, look, I'll start with Philadelphia. Look, the line right now is teetering between 7 and 7.5. Either way, I like Philadelphia. I love them in teasers, Seth. For everyone listening to teasers, when you can take 6.5 points, depending on how you choose, on 2 different games, and you can lower it down. So you could take Philadelphia down from laying 7 to laying 1, and I like Kansas City down from laying 8 to laying 2. Both teams have to win. I'd be very, very surprised if either Jacksonville or New York won. But Seth, I do like Philadelphia laying the 7, even 7.5 against a New York team that I think is getting too much credit for beating that god-awful Minnesota defense. Seth, the Kansas City game against Jacksonville, I'm going to lean here, just to lean, to Kansas City. I like them much more in teasers laying 2. I do respect Jacksonville, but I think Kansas City probably wins this game by about 7 to 10 points, slight lean to Kansas City. I do like Seth Cincinnati getting 5 against Buffalo. Now, I understand they have real issues in the offense line. I get it. But Seth, this is just as much a play to me as anti-Buffalo. Josh Allen makes mistakes. It keeps happening. I don't think it's a fluke. I think this game is going to be a field goal game, very close either way, 34-30, 31-27, 27-23, something in that ilk. Getting 5 points, Cincinnati is an easy call for me. And then the hardest game for me, Seth, is probably the San Francisco-Dallas game. I'm trying not to put too much credence in that Dallas win, Seth, because I know that Tampa Bay was awful. But I do think that San Francisco showed that they were a little vulnerable against Seattle. And for 2.5 quarters, that game was a coin flip. Dallas just has better personnel than Seattle. I think the game's going to be close. I expect San Francisco to win it. Let's say San Francisco wins it by a field goal. I'll call 23-20. So I'm going to lean taking Dallas getting the 4.
Brad, as always, man, thanks for joining me. I can't wait for next week's AFC, NFC title games. I'll see you then.
Thanks, Seth. I appreciate you.
All right. Coming up, my final thoughts and predictions for the divisional weekend matchups. This segment is sponsored by Davis Honda. I drive a Davis Honda, and you should too.
Birds fans, if you understand that success is built on trusted relationships and reliable performance, Mid-Penn Bank is the right bank for you. We're on a mission to prove that the right bankers can make a big difference and work harder for you. With financial centers strategically located to serve the greater Philadelphia area, we are ready to bring you the best in commercial and personal banking. Visit midpennbank.com or call the number on your screen. Mid-Penn Bank, the right bank for you. Member FDIC. Go Eagles! Bridgeview Partners Strategic IT Consulting and Services, saving clients money and time by optimizing enterprise systems for over 10 years now. If you're an IT professional, what are you waiting for? Contact a very experienced team at Bridgeview Partners. These guys have an awesome reputation in the Philadelphia market for their thought leadership, specializing in infrastructure optimization and IT service management for healthcare, retail, finance organizations, and many others. Go to bridgeviewpartners.com to learn more, and go Eagles! Mandrakia Law, attorneys you can trust, we get results. When you need an attorney, you need an experienced trial lawyer who will never settle for less, who's not afraid to try your case, will fight for you and keep you informed. Charles Mandrakia and the team at Mandrakia Law have decades of experience. They're ethical but aggressive. Personal injury, DUI or DWI, commercial or civil litigation, criminal defense, experience matters. Visit the website mmattorneys.com and remember the name, Mandrakia Law, attorneys you can trust. We get results.
Former Eagles linebacker Seth Joyner here to tell you about Artie Clear Kitchens, Baths, Drywall, and Roofing. For kitchens and bathrooms, roofing, windows, and other home improvement needs, call my friend Artie Clear. Get 100% no money down financing with payments as low as $59 per month. The first 59 calls will also receive a $400 discount on their first order. And if you're a senior citizen, double. Look for Artie's ad in the Metro. Call today, Artie Clear Kitchens, Baths, Drywall, and Roofing.
This car is a steal. Hey, Seth, let's do a deal and I'll throw in this great gift. Hoi!
Is that the way you used to buy a car? Forget about it. Get to Davis Honda in Burlington.
Davis Honda has over 300 pre-owned vehicles right now. Come see why Davis Honda won Best of Burlington 6 years in a row.
I'm Seth Joyner, and I drive a Davis Honda.
Seth, Caitlin, you forgot your great gift.
Welcome back. In my mind, facing the New York Giants was the best outcome for the Eagles other than a potential matchup against the Seattle Seahawks, which wasn't going to happen. The Birds match up well and, in my opinion, are a superior team to the New York Giants. Saturday and Sunday, I expect will be epic. The first game Saturday, the Jags take on the Kansas City Chiefs. While the Chiefs have had their moments of missteps and doubts this year, they're clicking on all cylinders, and they'll simply be too much for the young Jags. Chiefs win 36-21. In game 2, the Eagles host the Giants right here at Lincoln Financial Field for the third time this year. Divisional games always seem to be tight. I expect the Birds to pick up where they left off before Jalen Hurts hurt his shoulder. But the Eagles advanced 24-17. Sunday's first matchup has the Bills hosting the Cincinnati Bengals. As much as I like Joe Burrow and company, I just sense that it's the Buffalo Bills' time. The Bills win in a close one, 25-21. The late game has the Cowboys in San Francisco to face the 49ers. I say that the clock rings 12 on the Dallas Cowboys. Niners win 31-21. Thank you for tuning in. I'll be back next week as we post-view all 4 divisional weekend games and get you prepped for both NFC and AFC championship matchups next Sunday. Enjoy the rest of your week and good night.